Hi, it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today for another Top Tip Tuesday. This is the one that would have gone live last Tuesday had my laptop not decided to go on a go slow. Sometimes you just have to accept that life happens. Anyway, so this is how to heat emboss pretty much in any colour. There are a couple of caveats, but I'll cover those whilst we get started. So I'm going to flip the camera down, and I have got my Stamparatus because this is one of the two versions that you can now use. There used to be one, but now we have the Stamparatus. There are two. I'm using the Scary Cute stamp set because to show this off to its best effect, you want a solid image. So those are solid images. And it's kind of the right time of year. So, okay, using the Stamparatus, and I would therefore use the stamping scrub. No, this, can't remember what it's called. This, it will be listed in the information below. Dear Lord, I think it really is time I went on holiday, which is great because I am. First week in October, we're going away for a week. Yay! Okay, so chamois, that's the word I was looking for. The first thing I'm going to do is choose the colour I want, which for this is going to be Parakeet Party. And I'm going to ink up my image. And it's the first time I've used this, so I may need to stamp it twice to get a really crisp image. Even though it's red rubber, sometimes you do just need to give it a second go. So we'll give it a second go with the, actually it's Granny Apple Green. Did I say it was Parakeet Party? I lied, it's Granny Apple Green. So nice solid image in Granny Apple Green. That obviously needs to dry a bit because it is a nice juicy ink pad. So I'll pop that away, and I'm just going to clean my stamp to get that off. And I'm now going to use Versamark. So let's ink up with Versamark and stamp. And now I'm going to remove that from my Stamparatus and move my Stamparatus to one side. And I'm bringing in my clear embossing powder. Now I should have used my embossing buddy before I started, but fortunately with clear embossing powder it's not quite so vital. So I'm going to pop that into my dish just in case I get embossing powder all over the place, which I seem to have managed to avoid. I'm just going to brush any spare back into my pot. I'll get any off the back. And I'm going to leave that for the moment. I'm not going to heat it just yet because I want to do my other version, and then we can come back and have another look at what it looks like heated. So this time I've got the little fairy image. Ooh, except I was hoping, let me just, oh no, they are all walking in a row. Okay, fair enough. So I've got my little fairy image, so she's going to be trotting along behind. This time I'm using Highland Heather, but this time I'm just going to give that a bit of a going with my finger. This time I'm going to switch things round, and I'm going to add the Versamark first. So this version was ink, then Versamark. This is Versamark, and then ink. And again, you want to make sure that you've got good coverage because this one you cannot re-stamp. So let's line her up, stamp her down, and hope I've done a reasonable job. Yes. Okay, so close that up, put my ink pads to one side, bring in my clear embossing powder again, and cover her in embossing powder. Now, basically what we've done on both of these is the coloured ink is the first ink to hit the paper. with the Granny Apple Green, that was obvious because we stamped Granny Apple Green and then Versamark. With this one, the Highland Heather, because I put the Versamark on first, that was the top layer, then I put the Highland Heather on, so the Highland Heather hit the paper first. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to bring in my trusty cheese board and give it a blast and see what we get. So the Granny Apple Green one is done. This is the Highland Heather one. Pop that back. So hopefully, can I get the light? Yes. So those are both lovely and glossy. And they are heat embossed in Highland Heather and Granny Apple Green. Now it does go a little darker when you do this, so the colour is a darker version of what you're likely to expect if you just stamped it on its own, but really nice, solid, glossy heat embossing. Caveat: I'm going to just clean my fairy and show you caveats. Is she reasonably clean? Yes. Okay, so if I grab, rather than basic white, if I grab some very vanilla, it will still work, but it will be slightly different. So let's go through this again. We have our stamp, ink it up with Versamark, and this is a really nice juicy Versamark ink pad. It's a relatively newly re-inked. Then, oops, Highland Heather. And we'll stamp that down. I've got a stray cat hair. Can't imagine why I've got stray cat hairs. And pop this away. Grab my clear embossing powder. And again, I should have used my embossing buddy, but it's a pale colour and it's clear embossing powder, so it's not quite so vital. So that's that. I'm going to then bring out a darker colour. What have I got on my desk already? Okay, so this is real red. And this is where things will get slightly more interesting. And some of you are probably way ahead of me on this, but just in case. So, same again. So we're going to add Versamark, so that's well covered in Versamark. Then, needn't have closed this up, Highland Heather. And I am sticking to the same sort of area of the ink pad. Versamark isn't going to cause damage to your classic ink pad. It's clear, so it's really not an issue. So, stamp her down. And grab my clear embossing powder. And this time we'll see where there's stray embossing powder, because it's going to show white on the real red. So let's get rid of that and bring in the trusty cheese board again and heat. better into shot. And this is where you can see that things don't work quite as you would expect them to. Or maybe they are as you would expect them to. So if I take those off my cheese board, the Very Vanilla is kind of okay. It's a little bit of a change of colour. It's not going to be that easy to see on camera, but it's a little duskier. But on the Real Red, nah, doesn't work. So basically what you're doing, and you could see it quite easily on the Stamparatus version, you're stamping a second layer of ink, which happens to be Versamark. On the Stamparatus version, it's very clear. You do the colour ink, then the Versamark. On the block version, it's the way you layer the inks before you stamp. You're basically mixing your classic ink with Versamark on the block, but it's still a pale colour going onto a dark card if you are using a darker card. So just bear that in mind, that it's going to work beautifully on white and to a degree on Very Vanilla. But if you start using particularly the darker shades, it's going to be very muddy. If you use any of the pale colour shades, so your soft sea foams, your petal pinks, those sorts of shades, it will work, but you are mixing a see-through ink onto a coloured card. So it would be the same as stamping in that colour ink onto the background card. Don't expect it to be opaque is really, I think, what I'm trying to say. But it does still work. So I hope you found that helpful. It just expands your the heat embossing a little more. Now obviously if you want white or black, I would suggest you use white or black embossing powder. The clear is really if you want to do this technique, or if you just want that nice clear shine on a stamped image. So I hope you found that helpful. If you did, a thumbs up is always welcome. Let me just flip the camera up so I can say goodbye properly. So yes, if you found it helpful, do give it a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe and would like to see more top tips and more projects and live videos, then click the subscription button at the bottom of the bottom right of the screen. My brain has already gone on holiday, apologies. So yes, subscribe in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and if you hit the alert bell, you will also get notified when I go live or when I upload a new video. So thank you very much indeed. Have a fantastic rest of your day. If you are watching in real time, so 8 o'clock UK time Tuesday morning, then try and catch me at 11 live, same channel, where I will be doing live crafting. Don't know what I'll be doing yet, but we always have fun. Thanks a lot again. Bye.